Yo, yo, yo. It's just me today, guys. Uh to my co-host Jonathan Vallejo. We could do an earlier pod. He has work and family, so it's just me hanging out, man. Let's kick it off with the intro. Today we'll be talking about the Chauvin verdict, European Soccer League, toast to the end of that. You made it 3 days. And UFC 261. Right now, it's intro time. Let's get it. Yo, what are you doing right now?
The big V. Look, man.
All right, man. Let's just jump right into this shit.
I made my wife wake up and drive me there anyway.
¿Es
a major?
¿Pues con eso?
¿Pues con español? ¿Qué pasó, papá? ¿Cómo estás? Any questions?
Now, when you bought that sweater, right? You just go, fuck it. I'm going full Mr. Rogers. You've tuned into the Man Chatter podcast. Oh yeah, man, we are back. So on today's show, obviously, it's just me as I'm taking up your entire screen, or you're listening to me on the Bluetooth through your headphones. Thank you so much for taking the time. So the last 2 days, obviously realizing that my internet is trash and living rurally is awesome, but also a struggle because there's certain things you have to compromise. I had to call up my internet, be like, look, what are my choices? As you know, I live in the country here in Florida and trying to figure out what makes the most sense, what financially makes the most sense, and what makes the most sense for the pod, right? Because I don't want to bring out a quality of audio that isn't conducive to success, right? Like I don't want to keep trying something that isn't working. So I'm looking for solutions. So this one is just a straight record, no live stream. Try to see if it doesn't drag as much on my internet because it is slower here in the country. Like that's one thing that don't think about. There's parts of this country that are third world-ish with some first world symptoms, right? Like if you live in a big city, you don't have to deal with situations like my internet or the hospital being 45 minutes away. These are things that have to be fixed. We're a country that makes too much money to have citizens be forgotten about or in areas that become more difficult. Obviously, there's a give and take with everywhere you live. If you live in a major city, you have to deal with traffic. I don't have to deal with it as much, but there's certain areas and certain things that just have to be improved upon. Not just roads and things like that, but convenience and the ability to get to places quicker and hopefully have fast internet. But yeah, man. So back at it again. This is episode 177. 176 will be solely on YouTube because that one didn't sound good enough to put it into your ears. So if you watch it, you know what I mean? It is what it is. So yeah, man. Big news popped off yesterday. Let's just get right into it. The big news popped off yesterday with the Chauvin verdict. Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder, 2 cases of murder and manslaughter. So he could face up to 75 years in prison. One count that has a 40-year sentence, 20-year sentence, and then 15 years. That's up to a total of 75. In about 8 weeks, you'll be getting the sentencing. It could be, it could be anything. They could drop some charges on the way and so on and so forth. But it's a anecdotal story, right? So I am at my barbershop, got cleaned up. Shout out to my boy Suave. Happy birthday to you, my brother. As it is your birthday. Toast to you, man. Shout out to my barber. That Buffalo Trace be hitting. But yeah, man. So I'm sitting there. I get, the routine, how it goes at my barbershop, give you the ins and outs. I get there, wash my hair, put me under the dryer, make sure you're all cleaned up, little hygiene. And you get faded up. And I'm sitting there in the dryer, getting my hair dry. And I get the text from the group chat. Yo, man, verdict coming now. I jump out the dryer and I watch it on the TV in the barbershop. And I honestly, being completely honest with you, I was completely thinking it was gonna be not guilty. They were gonna find a way because I've seen it too many times, right? From just too many times. You got and it's not always police, right? Like anybody who with a, how do I say it, like a higher level of power or a higher level of importance than just a regular citizen, chances are that the justice system favors them. That's just what I've seen from OJ to man, you just the Amber Geyer lady who like shot Botham Jean in his own house was convicted, yeah, but you know what I mean. The way they approached it was oh, she's, it's people make mistakes and so on and so forth. But yeah, I was surprised to see a conviction, to see a guilty verdict, and that was really interesting to me because I did not expect it. You know what I mean? I did not. My fucking boys were like trolling me in the group chat. We're like, "Nah, not guilty, man, not guilty on all charges." I was like, "Okay, I kind of expected that." I was like, "But still, like, are you serious?" But yeah, he got the guilty verdict, and not what, an hour or two later, a young lady, a young black girl, 15 years old, calls the police, and she has a knife in her hand. Calls the police because she's about to be jumped, and cops show up, and from all reports, within 4 seconds, she's dead with 3 to 4 shots in her chest. I don't know what could have happened in those 4 seconds. Like now, there's not one other person to tell the story. It's just a police officer, but a 15-year-old child is gone within 4 seconds. You go back to the Tamir Rice situation and countless other situations. There's situations, of every race. The Adam Toledo, given he had a gun, but he was dropping it. But you know what I mean? Like all these different situations where just, I guess, to be too much, right? But you try to focus on different things and put your energy in different places, which is what my therapist always says. Like, try to make sure you're always doing things that's healthy and smart for your overall well-being, not just your physical health but your mental health. So I didn't spend too much time on that. I did watch the video of the police officer saying blue lives matter twice. The first time I was like, yeah, it could have been the crowd, but the second time was like, no, he doubled down. All right, cool. Blue isn't, I don't know if you know this, blue's just a career, not a race or a gender or anything covered in the Constitution. It's just a job. For doctors, you don't have green lives matter, or for firefighters would be red lives matter, I guess. It doesn't have it anymore. It's a response to Black Lives Matter, but it was never a response to White Lives Matter, which is whatever. I digress. But yeah, man, surprised, shocked, and happy about the guilty verdict because he killed the guy. Like, it wasn't even his own chief said it. Like, it wasn't even something to dispute. Obviously, like, there'll be the people who double down on what he did was right. He didn't agree with the verdict, yada yada yada. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how they don't agree with the verdict when they're also pro justice, right? Like, is justice just situational or intermittent, where it only benefits some, but if you agree with or like that person, you know what I mean, it can't go that way. Obviously, those answers are yes, right? Like, if I thought this person, or if I like this person, I'd be like, oh no, man, he couldn't have done it. You know what I mean? But once the evidence is put out there, like, oh no, okay, I reserve the right to change my mind. Like, just because I like this actor or police officer or doctor or nurse or anything, um, if we're friends or anything, like, once the evidence bears out, you should reserve the right to change your mind. You shouldn't just stick to your guns because of how you feel about that. You know what I mean? How you feel about it. It's just weird, man. And you see on media, like, stupid ass Los Angeles or Las Vegas Raiders actually posting up, I can breathe. Hey, bro, George Floyd is dead. There's no more breaths coming out of those lungs. He was killed in front of us for 9 minutes and 26 seconds. Eric Garner, same thing. You know what I mean? You go down the line. It's it's just a weird time, bro. Like, there is that part where obviously I don't look at all. I often get like criticized for what I say, right? Like, for my friends or family, like, oh, but don't you think? I was like, yeah, I do think cops are good, right? Like, 100%. It's never an indictment on all police. Like, that's stupid to look at police like a monolith. But in these situations, when they're clearly trained to behave one way, and they themselves agree that it's wrong, we shouldn't then just back them because you've always backed them, right? With the police chief in the Minnesota situation says, "Nah, she made a mistake." Then, dude, that's manslaughter. Like, you shouldn't be able. You should hold the cops to a higher standard, not above the law. You get what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't be looked at like, oh, but he's a cop. He has a really tough job. Yeah, man, an incredibly tough job. without a motherfucking doubt. Cops get killed in the line of duty all the time, 100%. And guess what happens? Those people who kill them get get fucking arrested, or they get killed because they try to have a shootout with police. But there's justice that happens when somebody dies because one cop makes a mistake. That cop should be prosecuted with within the same letter of that same law. That's all I've ever asked for. That's all I've ever talked about. It's never punished them beyond the measure of the law. It's never any of those things. It's always just this job does not grant you immunity from everything. Yes, you get immunity from lying to the people you interrogate. You could do civil forfeiture where you could arrest somebody and then take all their belongings, depending on the state. There's tons of things you could do. But if a cop clearly makes a mistake above the law and breaks it, that cop should be arrested. There's cops that have beaten up their significant others. There's cops that deal drugs. There's but shit. Half of the Miami Police Department in the '80s was a fucking were ex cons and drug dealers. That you know what I mean? With the cocaine cowboys. The documentary, you've seen it. No cop should be above the law. Cops should be up. Cops should uphold the law, never above it. That's it. And the argument of well, you should just comply. It's of course. Look, I've been pulled over. I talked about it. I've been pulled over 7 or 8 times in my life. Right. Most of those for speeding. There's always been tickets. Shout out to the ticket clinic down in South Florida, helping me out, not getting any points on my license. I've had tickets for illegally parking. I've gotten pulled over by Border Patrol while I'm in work, while I'm on my work clothes in my work truck, and I have not had a negative interaction when I'm actually pulled over by that police officer. But I've gotten yelled at by a police officer when he thought I ran a red light when I was stuck behind a semi. Pulled up right next to me, started screaming obscenities at me. I'm like, "Yo, man, my bad. I didn't see it. I'm stuck behind the semi. What the fuck is wrong with you?" Blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, well, that's you know what I mean. That's a situation where like I can't respond back with that same energy because I'm getting arrested. You know what I mean? I'm disrespecting a police officer. You respect the badge 100%. You comply and all these things. But when that police officer makes a mistake, it shouldn't be like, oops, somebody lost their life. That should be accounted for. You know what I mean? So luckily in this case, it was adjudicated. He was found guilty. He was fired by his department. Everything that needed to be done at every stage was done. There should be no reason why he should become a martyr or a victim or any of these things. He's a murderer. That's it. But of course, there's a segment of society, just like there's a segment of society that fantasizes with serial killers and obsesses over an O.J. Simpson thing, or if you go back to the Night Stalker, women and men sending him pictures and writing to him, and you know what I mean, and being obsessed with, and all that stuff happens. But at the end of the day, he was a police officer, but now he's a murderer. And that's who he is, and that's who he's always going to be. He always took somebody's life. He always knelt on somebody for 9 minutes and 26 seconds, and that's how he should be looked at. Now, should he be judged about that for the rest of his life? That's not up to me. That's up to God. But jury and a judge already decided what he is. He's guilty. So it's just that simple, man. So it's just that simple for me. I don't add anymore. I have no feelings of it above it over this. I don't think that I'll think about this again. But I'm sure we'll have another conversation with either just me or with my phenomenal co-host Jonathan Vallejo, and we'll talk about another situation with a cop or a cop being killed in the line of duty or another level of violence with a mass shooting. It's a constant and consistent thing that all you could do is what, like they say, thoughts and prayers, man. All you can do is hope that you're not caught in one of those moments. That's it. That's all you got. That's all you got. That's all you can really do. Sounds dark and fucked up, but it's real. Let me tell you something. Well, I was going to talk about bourbon on this podcast, but as I segue into the next topic, I want to say Buffalo Trace is clearly better than Maker's Mark. I like the little bit of bite that it has, and it just has a little bit more of that oomph that I like behind some good ass bourbon. So shout out to Buffalo Trace. Look at this. This is all I got left. I might have a problem, guys. I might have a problem finishing up the bourbon. All right. So let's do this. UFC 260 motherfucking 1. All right. So as you can see here, we have 3 title fights on this card. We have Kamaru Usman versus George Masvidal, Wei Li Zhang, with her first fight after that amazing fight against Joanna Young Jacek, or Joanna Champion, against Rose Namajunas, and Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. And on the undercard, which is still the main card, you have Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman, Anthony Smith, and Jimmy Crute. All right, let's break down these title fights here, because there's 3 title fights on this card. Right after this, shout out to ESPN Plus. I will be purchasing that fight because I want it in my life. I got 2 immigrants fighting from South Florida in the title fight. I don't hold George Masvidal's politics against him. Still fucking Miami, 305 thoroughbred till he dies. Can't knock that at all, bro. His politics being his politics, that's whatever. Kamaru Usman, immigrant mentality for the both of them. So I'm all about it. Nigerian nightmare right there. Okay, Weili Zhang, Rose Namajunas. Let's start. You know what? Let's start from the bottom to the top. I don't. Here's what bothers me. If we're going by weight, Valentina Shevchenko should be the co-headliner. She should not be the third fight on their card because she's 125. Weili Zhang is 115. I already don't like the way that's positioned. Hopefully they fix that. Valentina Shevchenko is the second greatest female fighter of all time. Should 100% be in the co-main. I find that very disrespectful. This is just me giving you the initial reaction of how the card is lined up according to UFC.com. I hope they change that shit. Valentina should be second because Jessica Andrade is her first real threat at 125. And Jessica Andrade slams motherfuckers on her head. Jessica Andrade, if you don't know, is the first female to fight at the 3 different weight classes for the UFC. She fought at 135, 115, and now 125. She had 1 fight at 125, destroyed Caitlin Shukagian, I think it is. And they gave her the title fight right after because Caitlin was supposed to fight Valentina, so she took her spot. She snatched her soul too. She hit her with a nasty punch to the liver, where Caitlin in an empty stadium, or the empty, I think it was the Apex, hit her with the fucking body shot from hell or from Brazil, and you could hear her scream. So shut her body down. Then you got Valentina, who has no weaknesses in her game. Stand up, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, grappling, no weaknesses at all. Jessica Andrade has power, only comparable to, I think, honestly, Amanda Nunes, Amanda the GOAT, Amanda the Lioness. Oh, man. And that one, I'm going to have to take Valentina Shevchenko just because I think she's levels above, but I'm totally hedging my bets here. And if you're going to watch this, John, I know you don't like the fact that I'm commenting on who you believe is the greatest. But I got Valentina, but I can see Jessica Andrade getting a nasty blow in that and possibly taking her fucking lights out. But Valentina's taking shots from Amanda and hasn't gotten knocked out. If Jessica Andrade can knock her out, that's a different level there, boy. Maybe he sets up a fight later for Jessica Andrade to fight Amanda at 135, even though she's so much smaller. But she's a little fucking tank, man. All right, so I'm going to go. I don't know who the favorites are. And honestly, I don't know how to read that, like that plus, minus 300, 200 shit. I'm not even going to try to lie to you. So I got Valentina in that one. I'm going to try to make a prediction because I'm an asshole and fuck it. I'm going to go 4th round TKO by Valentina. Yeah, that's what I got. All right. Then you got in the co-main, again, should be Valentina in the co-main, whatever. I have Weili Zhang versus Rose Namajunas. Rose is an inspirational, powerful woman. Powerful woman. Weili Zhang, man, I never saw her fight until that Joanna fight, so I only have 1 fight reference for her. I'm gonna go with Rose to pull the upset, but what Weili showed me in that Joanna fight is that she's got a fucking heart. She can rock with the best of them. You know, Joanna's no bum at all in any way whatsoever. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Rose on that one, just because I think there's something special about Rose for her to like climb her way back up after getting slammed on her head from Jessica Andrade in a fight that like nobody saw. Because everybody thought she'd run through her, and then nobody saw Weili Zhang destroying Jessica Andrade. So I think it was like less than a minute. Just fucking caught her with the Vitor Belfort speed, pushed her up against the cage, I got Rose Namajunas submission 3rd round. All right. I mean, it's written in the podcast. So that's what I got for that. All right. Let's get motherfucking to it. Kamaru Usman, George Masvidal, Jorge Masvidal 2. The Cuban Missile Crisis is what I'm calling. All right. Kamaru, Nigerian Nightmare, Usman. I have no idea who the fuck's going to win this fight. Decision, Kamaru Usman, knockout, George Masvidal. Could give you like a huge breakdown of like I don't position him, you know what I mean, like the positioning with this and then the head movement. If he could stop taking him down, if he could stop the takedowns for Kamaru Usman, it becomes a bigger challenge because obviously Masvidal has a better striking, but Kamaru is a very, I believe, underrated striker, but he's a little bit more stiff. But he looked really good against Gilbert Burns with his new camp. So we'll see. I'm gonna go. There's that part of me that wants Kamaru Usman to win just because I want to see the rematch with him and Kobe Covington, which was a monster fight. But I kind of do want to see Masvidal take it so he can fight Kobe Covington and fuck him up because they got bad blood too. God, man. I don't know. You know what? Fuck that. I'm not picking a fighter. I'm not picking a fighter in that one. I know. Like, oh, but no, I don't. Here's the thing. My podcast, my rules. I'm not picking a fighter in that main event. I'm not going to do it because I could see both of them winning. And to me, it's split. I got 50-50 with that one, man. I really don't know. I don't know how it can go. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I wish I could go to the fight because it's actually here in Florida. It's up in Jacksonville. Make the drive up, but being in a crowd in an arena just gives me a little bit too much anxiety still. I got a little bit of a PTSD from COVID, if we're being real. But yeah, man. That's what I got for that fight. I don't know how else to break that down. I know I could be like, oh, this is who is gonna win, and this is why. I'd be lying to you. I would be completely and utterly guessing. And that's kind of what I did on the previous 2 fights. But with those two fighters, I'm a big fan of both of them. I mean, you got George Masvidal with the flying knee, and then you have the heart of Kamaru Usman, Nigerian Nightmare that has not lost in the UFC. So, yeah, I'm going 0 pick on that one. I'm going right down the middle. I'll be happy for whoever wins. I wouldn't really be upset for either one, if we're being real. As long as like there's no politics that need to be talked in the middle. You know what I mean? In that one, because we should know what it is. One side is one side, and the other is the other. But yeah, man. All right, now let's bring out the roses. R.I.P. R.I.P. to the ESL. Ha, we barely knew you, man. You folded quicker than the XFL. It took you 48 hours, and it was a wrap. That's it. And we were hyped in the group chat. Yes, we're selfish Americans that have no vested interest in any of those teams. We just watch them on TV when they play to the big clubs. I don't go out of my way to watch a Leeds game in the EPL or Norwich City or Sheffield United. I watch Liverpool. I'm a Liverpool fan because of Mo Salah, big fan of the hair, and he's an Egyptian king. Shout out to Mo Salah. I'm a big fan of Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino. I could do without. Shout out to his amazing fake teeth on the come up with that one. But to see these leagues fight back the way they did with UEFA and FIFA, it put a bad taste in my mouth at the same time while rooting for the ESL, but also understanding that it would kind of be impossible, right? Because for us as American fans, we talk about it in our group chat, right? We have multiple sports that we follow. So we're very spread out. We don't have a dedicated sport. Like if baseball did this, we'd be like, all right, cool, we'll just watch something else. In Europe, it's only soccer. It's only football. And the fan base is revolted, reacted, almost protested at every stadium, scared to the living shit out of these billionaires, which I'm a fan of. Right? I'm a fan of that. Use your speech. I think they were trying to flip over the Chelsea bus. Chelsea was the first team to pull out. Then it was a domino effect that none of these teams or organizations had the courage of their convictions to just be greedy as fuck. They're like, nah, man, they're really gonna come and eat the rich if you do some shit like this. So I was a fan of the ESL and the idea of it, right? Understanding that not like because these teams only wanted more money. I think $400 million for winning any tournament is fucking absurd. For being 100% honest, like you get 130 million euros if you win Champions League. That's a ton of fucking money. For them to just want more money to enrich themselves is disgusting to me. You guys know my politics and my belief in that. But it just to for the selfishness of watching great teams consistently and constantly play was what I was all about. You know what I mean? I would have to struggle through a Manchester United game. I know they're one of the biggest clubs in the world, but to me, they're trash. Like I don't enjoy watching them currently. Like I'll go back and watch highlights when like Rooney and Ronaldo were there, or or other players that have come through that. You know what I mean? When Sir Alex was there, it was a lot more enjoyable. With the current iteration of United, it's boring. Like it's to me, it's comparable to watching a Newcastle United and look, no disrespect. I'm just saying, like as far as like the big six statement and perspective of it, it definitely is. It's not enjoyable for me. So I don't put them as like a go out of my way club to watch. I'll watch a Liverpool. I'll watch a Man City. I'll watch. Should I even watch Leicester City, because they've won the league. You know what I mean? They had N'Golo Kante that got bought out. They had Riyad Mahrez that got bought and sold within the league. But I never went out of my way to watch the smaller clubs, and maybe that's the main reason why there was such a revolt, right? Is all these smaller clubs were going to get destroyed. They would not have the revenue without the big six. And I congratulate FIFA standing up the way they did, but I also am sick of FIFA or UEFA because they don't have the same energy when it comes to how they combat racism on the pitch. It becomes like, well, I don't know, but you were ready to ban all these players, world-class players from their national teams, from competing in the league when it was your money. So it shows that you don't have a vested interest in really doing away with racism. Because on the pitch, like most of the times that it's players racially abusing other players, it's not the big name players, right? Like let's be real about some real shit. Like there's big time players like in any league in any sport that are above the law, right? They'll get away with more shit. They'll get more calls and stuff like that. I would get it if it was a Ronaldo that was the one racially abusing his teammates or the other team, or a Messi or a Kevin De Bruyne. Name the big players. Most of the time, it's players whose names you can't fucking spell, and or they could walk up to you like, "Oh, I'm a professional. I don't give a fuck. I don't know who you are." For it to be the exemptions of always like, "Oh, well, the other person has," like, no, man, make a fucking example of them. Oh, but players can use it. What player in what time ever? And I would like to know, right? I'm putting this out into everybody, and I'll post this segment right here up on Twitter. I would like to know a moment when a player had lied about being racially abused on the pitch. I'd like to know it, and what was the repercussions for that player, and how was it proven? I'd like to know when that happened, because I can't think of a specific moment at all at this current time. And I did research. I looked it up for probably about an hour and a half. I couldn't find anything when a player was convicted of lying to get a player suspended. I don't. Why would a person lie? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. All right. I'm getting carried away with the other side of it. Look, every team dropped out of the ESL except for Real Madrid, Barcelona, and I believe Juventus are the only teams still in it. They're the only teams that are left. Obviously, there's no more ESL. You're not gonna have a 3-person league. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't want to see a Clásico every week. Then it wouldn't be as important. And I get that, right? I get that argument of it. But the only argument here for the league was money. For us, it would have been entertainment because you're watching the higher level clubs and the big six that they call themselves and the media calls them, right? So if they're called the big six, you're giving them the power, right? Like if you call them the big six, then you're disrespecting a Sheffield United, Leeds, a Norwich City, fucking Wolverhampton, and all these teams. If you're separating them and you're calling them the Big Six, you're differentiating them from everybody else. So you then can't get mad at them when they be like, "Oh, if we're not like them, then let us do our own fucking thing." Right? Like that just makes sense. If I was watching unrelated, I was watching a trailer for a documentary about this $47 billion scam, right? And one of the quotes in the trailer was, "If you keep telling somebody they're Jesus, they're bound to believe it. If you keep calling them the Big Six, then why should they worry about the other 14? If they're just the other 14, it shouldn't matter, right? Like you keep calling them the Big Six, which is Manchester City, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, and whoever the sixth one is, who I just can't think of at the moment. Was it Tottenham, Arsenal, Manchester United, Man City, Liverpool? My boy Danny's listening to this shit like it's there. Whatever. There's a sixth team who I can't think of at the moment. But look, it's as simple as calling them the Big Six. EPL's best league in the world, right? Let's be honest. La Liga is a 3-team race every year. It's Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and Real Madrid. Bayern and Borussia Dortmund weren't in it. PSG wasn't in it. Juventus and the two Milans, cool. Well, now it's over. It lasted 48 hours. For 2 days, the group chat was litty about motherfucking ESL. Real quick though, ESL, English as a second language. That's just ESL. All right, could have been a little bit better. But look, Real Madrid, which I'm a fan of, my number one team in European soccer, are $900 million in debt. Barcelona, $1.1 billion in debt. Consistently making bad decisions for how they're going to spend their money. Want to be bailed out. It's not how this game should work, but it's also how this game works, right? It's what's been built. Is why they charge the prices they do for tickets. It's why they're called the Big Six and then the Big Three and the European powers and all this other shit. But you couldn't have planned a bigger embarrassment for the biggest clubs in the world than what happened. The fact that it was Americans behind it, from the clubs in the EPL, was a bigger story, which is interesting. But then they brought the conversation of Europeans, like, what does it mean to own a club? If you are only American, have only seen American sports, all our leagues are closed. There's no relegation or promotion. The G League champion doesn't get to knock down the New York Knicks. They consistently revenue share, so they wanted to bring that plan over. Doesn't work like that when they have a history of doing it somewhere else. Like if a country doesn't have it, yeah, do that. But if all these leagues from all these countries have relegation promotion, have a second league, second tiers, third tiers, fourth tiers, so on and so forth, that's what you're asking when you think about it on a macro scale. What you're asking is to completely change and revolutionize soccer in a way that only makes a group of 12 money. Of course you were going to get backlash. Of course you were going to have outrage. Of course you were going to have fans protesting outside of your stadium. The lack of understanding of European soccer. For us, look, all we know is lock leagues. I'll say it again. Like me, on my group chat, we're talking, oh, that's just going to be lit. Then at some point it will lose its shine, right? Like you get to see all these teams. You get to see Real Madrid, Chelsea, which we're going to get in a week anyway. You'll get to see Man City, Barcelona, Pep versus Messi, and all these storylines. Cool. But you're asking for 150 years of history to be pushed aside, brushed aside, disregarded, dismissed. It's not gonna work, man. It's just the disrespectful way they went about it. When you really think about it, makes all the sense that they got the backlash that they did. The arrogance they went about it is something that we're used to from billionaires, right? Like you go back to the LA Clippers former owner speaking to his side chick or whatever, the way she did and when we heard the audio tape, the entitlement that these people have, or they're never being used to being told no, and that's that happened here, and they had to eat some humble pie. Like John Henry came out with the video, the owner of Liverpool. I wonder if they're gonna ask LeBron about that because he's a minority owner, and he's slowly taking more and more stake in Liverpool. I wonder if they're gonna ask him about it. I'm interested to know what if they ask him. I'm sure they won't approach it because it's solely NBA, but it'd be an interesting conversation. Like, hey man, did you have any knowledge or understanding of what it meant to Liverpool fans to take away their team from the EPL when they just won it for the first time in over 30 years? I don't know. It's something to think about though, man. But yeah, some house cleaning notes. We'll be back on Sunday. As always, we might be back later today. Who knows? See how this whole thing plays out. But finish the bathroom. Then next, as you see these four holes behind me, gonna change up the background of this. I don't have a green screen like my co-host does. But yeah, gonna do that. Gonna paint this wall up. I got the shelves right here to the left of me. You're right. I'm gonna hang these long ass IKEA shelves up here in the next coming days. And yeah, man, the pod is constantly changing and evolving. And as always, man, thank you so much for listening and watching. Till next time, motherfuckers. Yeah, that's so aggressive. Till next time, family. You know what? I'm gonna end it like that. Because I think just ending it with a Sam Jackson line is always a little bit too aggressive. Thank you so much for watching, fam. Catch you guys next time. And here's the outro. Peace.